Larfleeze number 5, written by Keith Giffen, J.M. DeMatteis, and art by Scott Collins. So, last issue, Larfleeze was taken captive by the Orange Lantern Corps, because that's just a thing he's doing now, and also Stargrave was brought to the planet of, like, despair or whatever, because it's the sister of the Wanderer. There's a lot going on. So, this one is intercut between two very separate plots. I'm just going to give you the two plots because they're both pretty basic. Starting off with the Stargrave one, they are still on this planet of despair that's run by Dirge. And he basically is like, hey, Wanderer, why am I here? Why do you want me around? And she's like, oh, well, my mind wanders, as you know, beyond all space and time. I need someone that's able to, like, keep me in track, to keep me focused on, like, the here and now. And he's like, okay, well, let's leave. Like, why do we have to be here? I could think of 10 good reasons to leave. And she's like, did you say 10? That just reminded me of why we're here in the first place. So then she flies off to go talk to her sister, and Stargrave's like, all right, I'm just going to bail then. If she's just going to leave me alone, I'm just going to get a ship out of here. So he starts trying to get a ship. Meanwhile, Wanderer goes and talks to Dirge, and apparently there is this thing of the Council of 10, which are the enemies to Wanderer and all of her siblings, and they have followed them into this universe. Now, this council has been enemies of this family, but they are like a democracy where all 10 have to agree on something in order for anything to get done, and they never have been able to agree on anything. So it's never been a threat. However, Wanderer points out they agreed to come over into this universe. If they can make one decision, maybe they might start making more. And Dirge's just like, oh, that would be awful. But because I am of all sorrows, I like awful. So whatever. And so Wanderer basically leaves saying like, yeah, I don't really care. But how about you go and find some evidence of this happening? And Wanderer's like, all right, fair enough. And then because she has awareness beyond all time and space, she's like, oh, my butler's trying to bail on me. That little bastard. So we see Stargrave is at basically customs saying, I'd like a ticket to anywhere, please. And it's like, you need an exact location. We can't just give a ticket to anywhere. And he's like, no, but like, seriously, I don't care. Literally any place you have, I will take the first ticket to. And he's like, that's super suspicious. We're going to get security in here. And then Wanderer comes in saying like, hey, you trying to bail? Come on, let's go. So Wanderer flies off the planet with Stargrave in glue and basically says like, hey, Council of Ten's a thing. They're like the Guardians, but like murderous and disastrous for this universe, and we have to go spy on them. And Stargrave's like, yeah, okay, that sounds perfectly awful. Great. As long as I don't got to deal with your sister's awful planet anymore, why not? So that's plot A, or B plot technically. A plot is, of course, Larfleeze, who is enslaved by all of the Orange Lantern Corps. And basically, they realize they can't kill him because he is now the Orange Lantern battery. But without a ring, he can't focus it himself, so they're just going to use him to recharge. But they really, really want to torture him. And so everyone is just trying to figure out who's going to be the first one to torture. And they keep on jumping in on top of each other, being like, hey, I want to do it, I want to do it. Finally, we get one named, I think, Warp Wrap, who comes in and he's kind of like the main one, quote unquote. And he's like, look, guys, we just have to work together here. We all, like, let's not be at each other. Let's focus this all on Larfleeze. We have to also figure out what we're going to do about this planet. And one of them points out, like, yeah, no, this planet, we stopped here just basically to collect ourselves and recharge and whatnot. But, like, maybe we can make this our home world, wherever it may be. I don't think they actually give a name to it. But, like, it's a broken down planet. There's a bunch of ruins. And it's like, yeah, no, this place is a wreck. Why would we want to stay here? And it's like, well, let's just fix it up. Why not? And he's like, well, I don't want to fix it up. I don't want to waste my time doing that. It's like, oh, we won't fix it up. We're going to make Larfleeze do it. He's our slave. And Larfleeze's like, excuse me? I am nobody's slave. And he's like, no, you're definitely our slave. And so they take him out. They start beating him up a whole lot. And he still is pushing the point, like, I am not a slave. I'm not going to do that for you guys. One of them, like, taunts him, gets real close. Larfleeze bites off their finger. And so he's about to get like all of these huge orange constructs brought down on him, but then Warp Wrap jumps in saying, no, can't kill him. He's our battery. And everyone's like, yeah, screw that, man. Like, I'm I'm willing to stop being an Orange Lantern if it means I can kill this guy. But everyone else stops and being like, no, that's not the case. Look, we just need to break down a spirit a little bit more. So they take Larfleeze and throw him down into this like ruined castle's dungeon and say, all right, once you start obeying us, you'll be allowed back up. And when he's down there, he starts having a hallucination of his mother, and the mother is just like, you literally are the worst, Larfleeze. I've always hated you. From birth until now, you have been the worst. And he's like, what? No, my mom loved me. What are you talking about? I was like, no, I didn't. The Orange Lantern has managed to like put these falsities in your head of you being some always beloved underdog hero, but you have always been the worst. And he's like, nah, that's not the case. You're lying. Stop it. You're confusing me. And he's like, oh yeah, am I? Maybe you'd like to turn me in. And Larfleeze is like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, no, that's what you just always did. And we see this montage of his like race being enslaved, and every single time any of them would step out of line, Larfleeze would single them out, point them out to the slave drivers and say, they did it, they messed up, they should be punished. He was a toady, he was a sycophant, and he was constantly selling them out to the masters. And that's how he managed to get his freedom, was basically by being the biggest brown noser of all time. And because he's always been that selfish, that greedy. That's why the Orange Light sought him out, because he's always been that awful of a person. And Larfleeze is like, no, I freed the slaves. I'm a hero. That's who I am, right? Right? And his mom's not answering him anymore. His mom's disappeared, and Larfleeze just curls up saying like, no, I know this is true. It's got to be true. I did it, please. And it's actually left on a very sad note of Larfleeze like having no idea what's true anymore. I like it, and you can hear the hesitation in my voice. Again, this is a book that like I think is mostly driven by its off-the-wall comedy and like just zaniness. And this book does have that. There are parts of this where it does just get like the whole airport custom scene. I glossed over it, but it is very well done. Same thing with the conversation with Wanderer and Dirge. Very funny. But then it takes this moment to like get a bit more serious and a bit more of like, no, this is a retcon. We're messing with Larfleeze as a character, and it's making him awful. It's making him the worst. And to some extent that is still funny in a way, but like the way it leaves it off on such just a sad note for Larfleeze of like, he doesn't know who he is anymore. While I like it in theory, the fact that it is coming from such an off-the-wall book, I don't know, it's kind of just a tonal whiplash, you know? It's a good beat, but I'm not sure if it's a good beat for this book. Beyond that, I mean, it's a fine issue. I'd say overall it's probably just a 6. It's readable, 100%, but it doesn't stand out as any sort of like real important issue. It's just kind of there for the sake of, yep, another Larfleeze issue needed to come out. But again, we'll see if this book ever ends up being something bigger than it actually was, and when these two plots are going to converge again, because there's no way they're keeping them separate for that much longer.